Thank you for joining, everyone. We're going through an extraordinary event. It's one of those events that'll carry a whole chapter in the history books. But fortunately, we live in a country that has the might and the wealth to tackle it. The US has passed rules and regulations to everyone, a $2 trillion stimulus bill that increases unemployment compensation for everyone. There's per week more than what this is. And by everyone, I mean everyone who applies for unemployment. There are provisions for sick leave that if employer gives, the employer gets payroll tax credits. Check of $1,200 will be sent to everyone making under $75,000. And preference fast instance, billions of dollars will be given to airlines and hotels and small businesses and medium-sized businesses and sole proprietors and gig workers like the Uber drivers. But the two big programs we should all know about are the EIDL, Economic Loss Program, the Payroll Protection Program under the SBA CARES. About the Payroll Protection Program is we follow the rules and regulations. The government will forgive a big portion of the loan to everyone on payroll. So we have assembled a great team here today, CPAs from many of our offices, and I'll ask them questions regarding these programs. And then we'll have a lot of time for Q&A. We're going to go through in a rapid fashion so that a majority of the time we can answer your questions. So let me start with Jagruth Shah, CPA office. Jagruth, can you share with us what is the EIDL program and who's eligible and how does one get one? Jagruth.
Thank you, Navneet. And I would like to thank you, firm, for organizing the webinar for our client, community, and friends of the firm. It is my pleasure to be on panel of this webinar, and I appreciate the opportunity. Welcome all. I'll be discussing about EIDL loan. EIDL stands for Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program administered by US Small Business Administration called SBA. And this program is there for some time, and with President signing the Coronavirus Aid Relief and Economic Security Act, CARES Act, which has made changes to EIDL program to the benefit of small business owners in several ways. The lender for EIDL program is SBA themselves, and they are administering the loan. The eligibility for the business is any small business who have been in operations since January 2020 are eligible, and who have suffered the substantial economic injury and located in the declared disaster area. With COVID-19, all 50 states are declared as disaster area. So most of the businesses, small business, eligible business who have suffered substantial economic injury, that means the businesses who cannot meet their obligation and pay its ordinary, necessary operating expenses due to the impact of COVID. Eligible business will small businesses, including sole proprietor, with or without employees, independent contractors, cooperative and employee-owned businesses, and private nonprofit and tribal small businesses. There are few organizations who are ineligible as well, like religious, charitable, and gambling. Those organizations are not eligible. There are some more businesses who may not be eligible, who have not complied with previous SBA loan. The maximum loan amount is a $2 million, up to $2 million, and SBA will determine that amount once the applications will be completed. The application period for this loan will be from January 31st, 2020 till December 31st, 2020. But sooner is better, since EIDL loan has a limited funding of 10 billion. So it is advisable not to wait till last minute and apply as soon as possible. So this was a nutshell of EIDL loan. And over to you, Navneet. Any questions?
Okay. From our Shailesh, can you tell us about the terms of the EIDL loan, the interest rate, and also tell us if the EIDL loan is forgivable?
Sure, Navneet. Thank you. And good morning to everyone, and good afternoon, depending on your time zone, all the 350 plus attendees. And I'm sure like majority of them are our clients. So thank you all. So based on like all this constant ongoing lot of information since last Friday, the law was passed, as Navneet mentioned. So based on the information, whatever we have known at this time, so we'll share you with like all that regarding this EIDL loans. So what are the terms of the EIDL loan? So in here, like one good point, unlike previous SBA loans, many of the business owners have applied. So for this time, there is no SBA fees involved. So zero SBA fee during this process, especially for based on this stimulus package. Regarding like what will be the required documentation to apply for the loan and everything. So once somebody is applied online, they can do themselves, or will be better to use one of your accountant. And you will have to submit like IRS tax form for the transcript, personal financial statement, income tax return of the business, schedule of liability and everything. Regarding that interest rates, so for approved loan, so small businesses will pay 3.75 of percentage interest rate, and when for the non-profit, the rate will be 2.75%. As far as term of the length, term length for the loan is a maximum anybody can get is 30 years. Unlike that PPA program, which one of my colleagues will share later. So unlike the PPA programs, so loans under EIDL, they are not forgivable. But the main point is like government is giving at a lower rate for longer period, so that businesses can come after whatever this slow time turbulence from the economic standpoint. So that's the main objective, but it is not forgivable loan. Talking about that common question regarding like collateral and personal guarantee. So one point is collateral. So SBA will place UCC lien against the asset of the particular business when the loan is over 25,000. When it is less than 25, it may not be required. Talking about the personal guarantee, yes. So owners of the corporation or business, 20% of more percentage ownership, so they will be personal guarantee. Managing member of LLC, they will be like giving personal guarantee. Managing partner of LLP, so they will give. But still one good news over there is like there won't be any liens taken against the real estate owned by the guarantor. So this is kind of like a big picture of loans and terms, which Navneet asked. So we'll continue with like with next basic information. And after that, at the end, like we'll come back for the questions. So thank you, Navneet.
Okay, thank you, Shailesh. So, Baljeet, is our next panelist. He's a CPA in our Edison, New Jersey office. Baljit, can you tell us what is a PPP loan under the Senate CARES Act, and who's the lender and who's eligible? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Navneet. Hello, everyone from Edison, New Jersey, New York offices of the Chugh CPAs. PPP loan is a SBA-backed loan that is being provided by the banks, any existing SBA lender, or any federally insured depository institution and credit union and farm credit system institution that are participating will be able to provide these loans. Other regulated lenders will be available to make these loans once they are approved and enrolled in the program. The best way to go about is that you can contact your local lenders as to whether they are participating or no. All businesses, including nonprofits, sole proprietorships, self-employed individuals, and independent contractor with 500 or fewer employees can apply for this loan. While counting the 500 employees, foreign affiliates need to be considered as well. Now, the funds allocated to PPP loans are huge, $350 billion, and these loans would be converted to grants and don't have to be repaid for amounts spent on certain expenses. These expenses will be covered later in details in this webinar. The business must retain 90% of employment levels that they have as of March 24. The loan amount is calculated as 2.5 times of the average monthly payroll cost of the business, considering the last 12 months payroll that is paid by the business. For seasonal businesses, there are different rules. They calculate payroll from February 15th, 2019 to June 30th, 2019, or from March 1, 2019 to June 30th, 2019 to calculate the average payroll. Maximum loan size for any one business is $10 million. For the purposes of calculating the loan, since it's based on the payroll includes the compensation, which is like salaries, wages, any commissions, or any similar compensation, payment of any cash tips or equivalent, payment for vacation, parental, family, medical, or sick leave, any allowance that is made for dismissal or separation, any payment which is made for any health benefits, any insurance premium, any retirement benefits, or any state payroll taxes, which is paid on the compensation of the employees. Recently only we heard about that Department of Treasury released the application. So starting April 3, small businesses and sole proprietors can apply for these loans. And from April 10, independent contractors and self-employed individuals should be able to apply this loan. This loan can be applied by June 30th, 2020. So this is, about the basic terms of the loan, and we can address further questions as we proceed further. Over to you, Navneet.
Thank you, Baljit. So that leads us to a little more details of the PPP loan, since that's the biggest component of the Stimulus Act as it applies to small businesses. So next, we want to know what are the terms of the PPP loan, what is the interest rate, what is the term, the length of the loan, is a collateral required, is a personal guarantee required. And Kisle Banka, our senior CPA partner in our Santa Clara office, can you please tell us and give us the answers to these questions?
Yes, Navneet, thank you everyone for joining. Most of the PPP loan will be forgiven if they are used for payroll and certain other expenses within 2-month period, 8 weeks period. Any remaining amount that are not used will get converted into loan, and this loan has a maturity of 2 years with an interest rate of 0.5%. Unlike EIDL loan, PPP loan does not require any collateral or personal guarantee requirement. Navneet, over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Kisle. So let's go over to Satya Yaruva, our partner in charge of the Western Virginia office, and he gets the most important question of the day. And so we're most curious, Satya, about how do we get this loan from the government and use it for payroll and not have to pay it back so that the loan becomes a gift. Can you tell us how the loan is forgiven?
Sure, Navneet. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. I'm Satya Yerua, CPA from Virginia office. I'm going to discuss about conditions for loan forgiveness and application procedure for the same. As our colleague Kisle already mentioned, generally this program is intended to incentivize employers to keep employees on payroll. So though it is termed as loan, business will get forgiveness if certain conditions are met. So first requirement is that the loan is to be used for specified purpose, like paying employees, payment for rents, utilities, mortgage payments, etc. Out of the total loan, 75% need to be used for payroll payments. And most importantly, business has to maintain same level of employees throughout covered period, that is till June 30th. Also, business has to maintain same salary levels during the covered period. If all these conditions are met, loans will be forgiven. And as far as procedure for application is concerned, business need to submit application to lender with all the supporting documents, which says all of the above conditions are met. Lender will give the decision in 60 days. Also, usually forgiven loans are taxable gain, but in this case, even if it is a the loan is forgiven, it's not a taxable gain. So any questions that we can discuss later regarding this? Over to you, Navneet.
Okay, thank you, Satya. It's unbelievable that any country would do this. Basically, the United States is saying that if you have less than 500 employees in your business, please don't fire them. We know you're having cash flow issues. We know business is affected. We know that work is affected. But if you don't fire them, we will pay their salaries for 2 months, as long as you're a business with under 500 employees. Don't fire them, don't reduce their salaries above a certain percentage, I believe 25%. We will pay your employees' salaries for 2 months, as long as the salaries are under 100,000. People that you have that are making over 100,000 will cover up to 100,000 of salary, which is basically $8,300 a month for 2 months. Shocking that a country would do this. Basically hire every single employee in the United States that works for a small business. And it's interesting as to someone asked on the questions that how is the government coming up with so much money? Are they going to print more notes and cause inflation, and or what is the government doing? So one of the advantages of being the strongest, richest economy in the world is the US dollar is considered to be the safest instrument in the world. And so what is the government doing? They're borrowing $2 trillion. No printing of cash. The government has no money anyways. We run a budget deficit of $1 trillion a year. So the $2 trillion, the government is going to go and issue treasury bonds, and the interest rate is only 1%, and the government will get 30 years to pay it off. So all that is costing the US government to do this is the 1% interest on $2 trillion. And hopefully it's enough to bail us all out. So Kapil, half of the questions we're getting are, I have a business, what do I do? Do I apply for the EIDL loan? Do I apply for the PPP loan? Which one do I do first? And do I apply for both of them? So help us. Kapil Handa is our senior tax CPA partner in our Atlanta, Georgia office. Over to you, Kapil.
Thank you, Navneet. Hello, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to attend the webinar today. Just kind of, as Navneet said, we are going through with unprecedented times, and times are tough, but We are fortunate that we have a government that is supporting us. So I'll break down both the programs, EIDL and PPP, very briefly, and then we'll take the questions later. So EIDL, again, economic injury disaster loan, who should apply that? So the answer is anybody who is having a working capital deficiency, cash flow crunch, which most of the business at the moment are, should be applying for that. Again, according to a study done by Chase, average small business owner has a cash flow reserve of a month. So we can imagine this crisis happens in February. We are now in April. People are struggling. So again, EIDL is anybody who wants to just have the cash right away. How? Because when you apply, you can get a loan of up to $2 million. But the government is saying the moment you apply, we will release funds of up to $10,000, which should be dispatched within few days. So they are saying 3 days, but in practical world, we have seen and we have helped many clients so far, and they haven't received the funds at the moment, but they haven't gotten the application has been submitted. There is a other advantage that we have seen that they say the application is under review, but again, the money is still under the process. But the good news is, yes, you get the $10,000 within few days where you have people to play and people are dependent on you. And again, the PPP program should be one who has payroll, a lot of people, again, under 500 employees. But just to support that, the government is willing to give up to 2.5 times of their average monthly payroll to the people. So anybody who's having a lot of employees in their company should be focusing on getting the PPP program, which is going to be open from Friday, April 3rd. But at this time, a lot of question again comes, shall I wait for the PPP program to get into, or I should just get the EIDL at the moment? The answer is EIDL is a very small pool program, as Jagrut said, $10 million, whereas the PPP program is a much bigger program, as Baljit said, about $350 billion. So the pool in PPP program is much, much bigger compared to EIDL. So at this point, if you have a cash flow problems, if you have a working capital deficiency, we recommend you go ahead and file the EIDL program. And the good news is tomorrow, when the April 3rd, the window opens, you can also apply for PPP. And based on the decision of the government, both the programs are again under SBA. Once you come to know which one you qualify, or you may want qualify for both, you can then decide you want to take one loan, you can take both the loans, or you don't want to take either of the loans. Again, the best part is there is no service fee, closing cost involved, where the government is trying to help all the small business owners. That's all. Over to you, Navneet.
Okay, thank you so much, Kapil. So we've discussed a lot about small businesses with employees under 500. The next group of people the US government is planning to help is medium-sized businesses. These are businesses that have between 500 to 10,000 employees. And businesses over 10,000 employees, the government is helping in selective manner. If you're in the airline business or hotel business, then there are special programs for businesses over 10,000. But between 500 to 10,000, the medium-sized businesses, there is help. And I will ask Ramesh Patel, our senior tax partner out of our Los Angeles office, to tell us what loans and benefits is the US government giving to medium-sized businesses between 500 and 10,000 employees. Over to you, Ramesh.
Yeah, thank you, Navneet. Good morning, good afternoon to all of you. Thanks for attending this webinar. So far you have heard my colleagues about employee having a size of 500 or less, but we have many client who has employee size of more than 500, because the SBA definition requires to include not only the the US business, but worldwide businesses. So many of our IT technology company clients are having a lot of employees in India and other parts of the world. So those employees needs to be also counted if they own those entity through the business or individually, and they are a majority shareholder of that. So for those group of businesses, this mid-sized business program is available, and that is part of Business Stabilization Act of 2020, which is under the umbrella of major CARE Acts, and it has almost $500 billion loans and loans guarantee, and the funding for this program is provided by the Fed Reserve. Unlike other two programs, SBA is the lender or supported by the SBA. As far as the provision or the purpose of this act, it is only available for the US businesses organized in the US and having a majority employees are in the United States. The assistance or the money you get under this program cannot or prohibited to transfer to any of your foreign affiliates. So basically, money cannot be used to fund your subsidiaries in foreign country. And good thing about this program is you do not need to repay this loan within the first 6 months. So the first payment is going to be due month 7. As far as the documentation or the information you have to provide is just like you have to just provide the good faith certification saying that we are intended to maintain at least 90% of our current workforce, and company will not outsource any work to foreign country during the period of the loan and 2 years thereafter. Also, company need to certify that they will not use this money for a dividend or any repurchase of the stock. And as far as the limitation, there are one additional limitation is the compensation of the officer or the employees. So any employee or officer who has received more than $450,000 in compensation for the year 2019, those people or the employee have to continue to maintain that compensation level till the loans are available. And employee who have made more than $3 million in the year 2019, their compensation is also limited. So limitation for those folks are you can have 3 million plus 50% of over and above $3 million. So just give you an example, like if someone has taken $5 million in compensation for 2019, so he can have 3 million plus 50% of the remaining 2 million. So $1 more million. So instead of 5 million, officer can take up to $4 million as a compensation as long as the loan is there on the books of the company. Yeah, Navneet, over to you.
Okay, so we've discussed a lot about the federal government program. In addition to that, all 50 states or most of the 50 states have created their own mini stimulus packages and are helping in one way or another. Since majority of our attendees today are from California, let's just go over a bit of what California is doing in helping. So I'll ask Asha Inamdar from our Santa Clara office, CPA, to tell us about the California Business Loan Guarantee Program.
Thank you, Navneet sir, and thank you everyone for taking out the time today to attend this webinar, and we hope we are contributing to a lot of questions that you may have in your mind. So to begin with, the California Small Business Loan Guarantee Program has been introduced by the California Small Business Center, and they also have several disaster relief loan guarantee programs. So essentially what the loan programs is for providing guarantees to applicants and borrowers who are unable to provide the guarantees themselves or are having difficulty getting loans through the traditional routes through their lenders. And the way this works is that the Small Business Finance Center has partnered with a few financial institutions called the Financial Development Corporations, and they help eligible businesses get these guarantees for their loans. And the eligible businesses could be small businesses. They need to be located in California and have anywhere less than 750 employees. And a few nonprofits are also eligible to obtain these. Now, the terms for the guarantee are you can get a loan almost up to 20 million. And the guarantee, though, is for a maximum of 1 million. And the terms could be ranging all the way up to 7 years, or you could even be eligible for a longer term, more than 7 years. And the guarantees will be maximum 95% of the loan. Usually they are 80 to 95% of the loan. The interest rates are negotiable with the lenders. So whichever lender you are approaching, and there are a bunch of lenders listed on their website, we can share that information with you later. And you can have your interest rates negotiated, and the qualifications, further qualifications, if at all, they'll be decided by the lenders. Now, you can use the proceeds of these loans for different kinds of expenses, like starting up your business. So if you have any startup costs, they can help you with that. You have any additional construction to do, you need it to just meet your regular working capital, get inventory, do purchases, pay off your vendors, all of that is covered. If you need any help with export financing, it can cover that as well. If you need to expand your business, maybe start a new line or something like that, you can use it for it. You can use it as a line of credit. And you could do, just a bridge financing. If you have a gap somewhere, you could use it for, especially this disaster relief for all kinds of hurdles that you faced in this global pandemic. You could use it for agricultural purposes, for paying franchise fees, and a whole other list of purposes that you can use. And when you can apply is you could apply right away, approach any of these lenders, and as long as you qualify the criteria that I just mentioned, and if at all they do have additionally specific to the lender, as long as you qualify that, you can just go ahead and apply for the loan. So that's pretty much it. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Asha. So our question next is, where is the Export-Import Bank in all of this? As you know, US has this massive institution called the Export and Import Bank, EXIM Bank. And even though the title of the institution is Export-Import, they don't really help financially with import. But companies and countries that want to import from US will give them a loan. So let's hear about what the EXIM Bank is doing. And I'll ask Annalita from our, she's a lawyer from our Los Angeles office, to tell us what help is EXIM Bank giving.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Mr. Chugh. So for those of you that may not be available, EXIM Bank, as Mr. Chugh mentioned, is the official credit agency of the United States federal government. It was established in 1934, and its primary mission is obviously to support U.S. jobs through the facilitation of exports of U.S. goods and services. But most important for the purposes of our panel today is that on March 25th, it passed a resolution to aid export-import businesses in the United States that have been impacted by the COVID-19. So there are certain relief measures being offered to EXIM customers. These include offering extensions of deadlines, waivers, streamlining processes, and providing extra flexibilities for an initial 30-day period. And I'm predicting that most likely this will probably be extended in the future. So for example, EXIM will work with customers facing shipment problems, payment difficulties, or liquidity problems due to the COVID-19. These measures are aimed at enabling businesses that participate in the EXIM programs to be able to resume their businesses, and without suffering so much through the COVID-19 pandemic. So specifically mentioned in the 25th resolution are some programs regarding these reliefs. One of them is the Working Capital Guarantee Program. The other one is a Bridge Financing Program. And one of the other ones that's also mentioned is a Pre-Delivery Chain Financing Guarantee Program. So, and as I mentioned earlier, there are extensions of deadlines being offered to program participants. So one of those extensions is offering extensions of payments for up to 90 days on invoices that are owed by foreign customers that would be between February 1st, 2020 and June 1st, 2020. So that's just one of the things that they're offering. So back to you, Mr. Chugh.
Okay, thank you, Anelita. So basically, the bottom line is that the government has two loan programs, EIDL and PPP. We'll look at your business and evaluate as to which loan makes sense to you. But no matter what you do, PPP you must do. So EIDL is in a way an optional item. PPP, the reason I'm saying you must do is because if you have payroll and if you have employees, and that includes, there were a lot of questions about, am I an employee of my own company? Yes, you are. And so please apply for a PPP loan, because if all goes well, 2 months of payroll will be forgiven, the loan will be forgiven. Most of the banks, there are a lot of questions about where do we go. Best thing is to go to your existing bank that you have a banking relationship with, or any other banker friend you have. Not every single bank, but most banks are SBA approved lenders. The very small banks usually are not, but there are exceptions to that as well. The EIDL loan is a very simple one-page application on the SBA website. As you know, SBA is doing the EIDL loans directly. The PPP loan is a SBA guaranteed loan. So the banks are going to do the PPP loan, not the SBA. And as in all of history, SBA never really doles out money. They guarantee to the banks that, okay, please give a loan to this person if they meet these criteria. And in case this person doesn't pay you, we'll pay you, but please help these small businesses. So SBA is always a guarantor in most of the SBA loans we have all taken in our life. And so is it the same rules with the PPP program. So apply to a bank and SBA will guarantee it. We have a lot of questions about what do we do if we're a startup, because there is rumor and gossip that VC funded companies are excluded. The bad news is that it's not a rumor or gossip. So far, a VC funded company is excluded because the government feels that the VC and private equity funds had $1.5 trillion of dry powder cash available at the beginning of the year, and they can help their portfolio companies and give them payroll of 2 months. Why does the government need to be involved? But there's a lot of hue and cry in Silicon Valley and other places, and they're all making noise to the government that you can't do this. And the reason the government is saying we're taking VC funded companies out is because we're counting all of their portfolio companies and adding up all the employees, and all of them are over 500 or some logic like that. So Kisley, you operate out of the Santa Clara office. What are you hearing about the startup companies and the VC funded companies and the noise they're making?
Yes, Navneet, the congressman, I mean, I heard Rokanda, and they are lobbying for a startup funded company, VC funding company, or private equity funded company. And it is possible that we hear something very soon that, they will be eligible for this loan.
Okay, great. So some of the other questions we've received is, we reduced employee count in October. What will be our employees base for, how will we count? So Ramesh, is it accurate that the government is going to look at the last 12 months employee numbers and not just 1 month?
No, that 12-month average is to determine the employee threshold of 500, Navneet. But this particular question, I need to check that and respond on that.
Okay, but it's not 500 employees last month. It's an average of the
Oh, yeah,
last
yeah.
12 months.
Correct. For the threshold purpose, it's average for last 12 months, each pay period. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I believe it was maybe addressed, but Satya, what is the tax implications of the forgiven portion of the PPP loan?
Yeah, so generally, as I mentioned, forgiven loans are usually taxable. But in this case, even if it is forgiven loan, it's not taxable gain. So it's in one way, it's a double bonanza. You'll get forgiveness as well as tax benefit.
Right. Okay. So what about can the PPP loan be used to pay H-1B holders? Anyone want to address that?
This is Baljit. Yeah, I'll address that, Navneet. Yes, so the PPP loan that can be used to pay the H-1Bs.
Okay, because an employee is an employee in the US, and nowhere in the application process is there a question, do you have H-1B or L-1 workers? And that discrimination, fortunately, is not happening. A few people have asked, can the nonprofits avail of these loans? And the answer is yes to the PPP loan. And if you have a nonprofit and you have employees, you can apply for payroll protection for 2 months. With the hotel industries, there are lots of questions. So Kapil and Shailesh, you have a lot of hotel motel clients. Is the government, to calculate 500 employees, is the government going to count all of your hotels as one entity, or each hotel is a separate entity?
Hi, Navneet, this is Kapil. So, yeah, they are saying that anything franchise and motels are going to be exempt under the affiliation rules. So that's the understanding at the point. And all we have held many clients already filed the loans for EIDL at this point, and everything is included as a separate application. And right now, the understanding is they will not be taking it as a controlled group and taking each entity as a separate legal entity.
Okay. Anything else any of you want to address that we didn't cover?
Navneet, looks like there are a lot of questions regarding the entities who have foreign shareholders as well as foreign subsidiaries.
Okay. You want to address them, Satya?
Yeah, sure. So the entities who has foreign shareholders with more than 500 employees, they are not eligible for PPP loan. But if the all affiliate entities together, if the employees are less than 500, then they are eligible for PPP loans.
Okay. And does the owner of the business have to be a green card holder or citizen?
It looks like there is no requirement as such. Anyone else can add?
Okay. Any other questions, anyone?
Yes,
From the
Navneet,
attendees?
there are a lot of questions, if we need to include the employees of the foreign subsidiaries for the calculation of 500 count.
Yes.
Yes,
So what's the answer?
Yes, so basically SBA has a affiliation regulation, and based on the affiliation rules, we need to count the number of employees of all the related party entities, and if that crosses more than 500, that they may not possibly eligible for this loan. There are industry specific criteria as well for SBA. So for certain industry, even though the number crosses 500, but their revenue is less than certain amount, they could be eligible. In case of software entities, if the total count is more than 500, but revenue, overall worldwide revenue is less than $30 million, they will be eligible for this loan.
Right. So one important thing is that rule number one is that if any business in United States has less than 500 employees, they are eligible for this loan. But what happens if an employer has more than 500 employees and they still want to see if they're eligible? Then we look at the SBA list of all business classifications in the United States. And in that classification list, SBA has said that we will consider you a small business either by employees or revenue. And so for all of you in your business, you fall under a classification like hotels fall under classification 72. So look at this SBA list and look at your business. And there is a table, and the table has two columns, employees or revenue, and SBA will consider you a small business either based on number of employees or revenue. And if SBA considers you a small business based on revenue, then they'll ignore how many employees you have. So for instance, for CPA firms, irrespective of number of employees you have, as long as your revenue is under $22 million, SBA considers you a small business. So you could have a CPA firm with 5,000 employees, as long as the revenue is under 22 million, you will still qualify for the loan. So if you have over 500 employees, don't give up hope. Look at this SBA list, look at your business classification. And if SBA is measuring your business classification from a revenue point of view and not employee point of view, and you're under that revenue, you will be classified as a small business and you will still get these loans. Okay, we've got a couple of minutes left.
Navneet, I'd like to add on that if someone is having a more than 500 employees threshold, so I think there is a provision where you would get additional 25% of bonus. So basically, this 500 employee threshold become a 625 employee, as long as you use that additional funding in the area where there is labor surplus area. So there are some, like, the exception to this 500 employees threshold. But we got to look into that in detail. What are those labor surplus area, and what are the provision for those specific areas? So employees more than 500, yeah, we need to need to look dig deeper, and maybe you can stretch up to employ 625 employees.
Okay, so the session's not over. We're here for you for a very long time. Send us, even if we are not on this webinar, send any of us an email, text, phone, ask us as many questions as you want, specifically with regards to your business. We're very happy to help. Reach out to anyone. Thank you for joining us today, and 100% guarantee that we will be beyond this crisis one day, and the sun will shine again, and we will all survive and thrive. It's a big setback for all of us, but let's not give up. Let's be tough. Let's not surrender, and let's fight on. Let's make lemonade out of this lemon. Let's see how we can get stronger. I have a little sign on my desk that says TTSP. This too shall pass. We are here for you. Let's work on this together and beat this crisis we are going through. Thank you so much for joining us, and God bless.